Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We are taking something you've probably seen 1,000 times and, well, we're literally turning it upside down.
It's a fantastic example of how just shifting your physical perspective can totally rewrite what you think you know about even the most common organisms around us.
And today, our focus is on the common duckweed, Lemna minor.
That's the one, that tiny little green plant that forms a carpet on top of still water.
Exactly. If you've ever had a fish tank or walked by a pond, you know what we're talking about. It's the definition of a surface-level plant.
But our source material for this is really unique. It's not a formal study. It's actually a set of detailed notes from a fish keeper named Ang.
Right. This was an accidental observation, just a one-off thing that happened because a fish tank was in a really weird position.
Precisely. And it gave Ang an insight that you'd normally need, a microscope to get.
So our mission today is to pull out the surprising hard data that Ang found. We're going beyond the little green leaf and looking at the hidden structure, the engineering that's happening just below the waterline.
We're going from just seeing a floater to really studying an engineering marvel.
We're literally going beneath the surface. Okay, let's unpack this.
So when most of us think about duckweed, the picture in our head it's flat, right? It's two-dimensional.
Yeah, you just see the little green ovals on the water. That's it.
Exactly. And because they're on the surface, your brain just assumes everything important is happening on the surface. You figure whatever's underneath is, minimal, or maybe not even there.
It makes sense. I mean, the whole point is to float and get sunlight. So you'd assume any roots would be tiny, maybe just for balance, or maybe they'd spread out sideways right under the surface.
Right. The assumption is, why waste energy growing down into the water where there's no light? But Ang's observation, it completely shattered that idea.
So tell us about the setup. How did this happen? Because normally, you're right, all you see is green.
Well, Ang was at a local fish store, and one of the aquariums was mounted really high up, like chest height.
Oh, okay.
And that was the key. It gave them this perfect, clear line of sight right through the side of the glass, but looking slightly up under the water surface, so they could see the top of the duckweed mat and the bottom of it at the same time.
So it's a perfect combination of angle and, I guess, clear water. So what was it? What was the big aha moment when they looked up into it?
The revelation was it was profound structurally speaking. The root system wasn't just a few little wisps. It was long, substantially long.
Okay.
And this is the real picker. The roots were all growing perfectly, and I mean perfectly vertically downwards.
Vertically, not sideways, not just sort of dangling there.
Not at all. They were like tiny little plumb lines all pointing straight down toward the bottom of the tank.
That's so counterintuitive. They're actively pushing down into the water column.
Precisely. It suggests a really dedicated purpose, They're seeking depth, even though the plant itself lives entirely on the surface.
It completely changes the picture of this lazy floating plant. It suggests there's some kind of active mechanic at play. This is where it gets really interesting, isn't it?
It is, because that initial shock of seeing these long vertical roots made Ang go looking for the actual numbers. They had to get past surprisingly long and find out exactly how long.
And the research backs it up. It's a simple plant, anatomically, but it's ambitious.
Very. So biologically, Lemna minor usually has just one single slender root for each little leaf or frond. It's a very minimalist design.
But that one root is doing a lot of work. So let's get to the numbers. We know they're vertical. How long are we talking on average?
The average length, and this is the number you should really remember, is about 15 millimeters.
15. Okay, you have to picture this. The frond itself is tiny. Maybe, 3-4 millimeters wide?
Exactly. So the root is, on average, anywhere from 3 to, 15 times longer than the plant body it's hanging from.
15 millimeters. That's a huge vertical investment for something so small. But averages can be deceiving. What's the extreme? What's the maximum these things can reach?
The range is pretty significant. They can be as short as 2 millimeters, but the maximum length that's been reported is an absolutely staggering 46 millimeters.
Hold on. 46. Did you say 46?
46 millimeters, yes.
I mean, that's nearly 5 centimeters. That's almost 2 inches of root hanging under a single green speck.
It's completely disproportionate. It's astonishing. When you picture that little floating dot, you do not picture an almost 2-inch anchor hanging underneath it. That one measurement just redefines the entire plant.
Okay, but I have to ask, why? From an energy standpoint, why would you do that? Why grow one single super long root? Wouldn't a wider net of short roots be better for stability?
That is the perfect question, and it forces us to throw out the idea that the root is just for anchoring.
So it's not about stability.
It doesn't seem to be, no. The consensus is that this extreme vertical growth is a direct response to something called nutrient stratification.
Nutrient stratification. Okay, break that down for us.
Yeah. So think about a still pond or an aquarium. The very top layer of water where the duckweed is can actually become nutrient poor.
Because the plants are using it all up right there.
Exactly. The plants and maybe some algae are sucking up all the nitrogen and phosphorus right at the surface. But a few centimeters down, deeper in the water column, you often find higher concentrations of those nutrients that have settled.
Ah, so that 46 millimeter root isn't just dangling.
No, it's a probe. It's a highly specialized probe designed to punch through that depleted surface layer and tap into the richer nutrient zones below.
So the plant is spending a massive amount of energy just to get a slight advantage. It's a trade-off.
It's the ultimate specialization. It suggests that in a competitive environment, being able to reach those deeper nutrients gives it a huge survival advantage. That root isn't just long, it's a competitive weapon.
That's mind-blowing. And it's a feature that is basically invisible to 99% of people looking at it. But this whole discovery by Ang was an accident, right? It depended on that one high tank.
And that brings us to the next problem that Ang noted. Knowing this fact is one thing, but actually seeing it happen in the wild is another.
You can't just go to a pond and see this.
It's incredibly difficult. For one, pond water is usually murky, right? Turbid, so you can't see anything.
Right, visibility is an issue.
Then you've got surface glare, light refraction. It's almost impossible to look down and see these thin, thread-like roots. And of course, any little bit of wind or current messes up that perfect vertical alignment.
So we have this amazing anatomical fact, but we can't really observe it in action. We can't watch that 46 millimeter root doing its job.
Exactly. And that's why Ang's notes then pivoted to active engineering. The proposed solution was to try using a small water-resistant camera.
To actually go underwater with it.
Yes, to get that bottom-up view on purpose instead of by accident.
And it wouldn't just be about getting a cool picture, right? What would a camera actually show us that we don't already know?
It would show us the dynamics. Does the root stay perfectly vertical when a current hits it? Does it show hydrotropism, meaning does it actively grow towards a specific nutrient source?
Oh, that's a good point. We could see if the root just grows to its genetic maximum length and stops, or if it's more like a sensor stopping when it finds a good nutrient layer.
That's the key distinction, isn't it? Is it predetermined, or is it actively sensing its environment? A camera could let us watch that behavior over time without disturbing the system.
And we can see how that long thread deals with water movement. Does it create drag? Does it actually help stabilize the plant?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this whole thing shows that knowing the structure, the 46 millimeter root, is really only half the story. To understand the function, you have to overcome these huge observational challenges. It's the difference between looking at a blueprint and, watching the machine in action.
This has been absolutely fascinating, a real deep dive into something I thought was just boring. So let's recap the takeaways for everyone listening.
Okay.
Common duckweed, that little green dot, is putting most of its energy into growing one single slender root that goes straight down, purposefully vertical.
And that root is not small. The average is a surprising 15 millimeters, but it can reach a maximum of 46 millimeters, all in an effort to reach deeper, richer nutrient layers in the water.
So what does this all mean?
Well, it means that a system we thought was incredibly simple was hiding its most important survival strategy just out of sight. We completely misunderstood it because we never changed our viewing angle. We never looked up from below.
And that leaves a really big question for you to think about.
Yeah.
How many other things in nature, or heck, even in your own work or your own life, are we fundamentally misjudging because we're stuck in that default top-down view?
Are you only ever looking at the surface, at the little green dot? Or are you looking for the nearly 2-inch vertical thread of information that actually explains how the whole system works? Sometimes you have to actively seek out that bottom-up view, even if it feels like you have to build a special camera to find it.